We are almost at the end of the year and almost at the end of Devember as well. Now, all through this month of Devember, we have been showing small, simple plugins that you could use in Sublime Text just to demonstrate that it does not take a lot of complex code to affect big changes in Sublime and make Sublime Text your own. And hopefully, this little voyage has sparked in you some ideas for plugins, packages, enhancements, and the like that you would like to make in Sublime Text to make it just that much better of a tool for your everyday use. And you may be saying to yourself, oh, that nerd, I'd love to be able to create my own packages and plugins, but I have no idea how to do that. Well, never fear because help is on the way. Hello, fellow Sublime Text fanatics. Odat Nerd here. Welcome to this last video of 2019. And before we go any farther, I would like to say that it has been one heck of a year. It was back in April of this year that I started posting weekly videos to the channel, and your support has been nothing short of astounding on a week-by-week basis. I have been amazed at the outpouring of support from everybody out there who's watching these videos. So thank you so much. I can't say it enough. Your continued support is what makes continued production of these videos possible. Now, you may notice I'm still up here in the big screen. I haven't squinched myself down into the corner. That's because this is the last video of the year, so I thought I'd do a little bit of a shorter one so we can get on with the excitement of New Year's festivities. And speaking of New Year's, we have to talk about the end of the previous year, and in particular, the end of Devember, which, as you'll recall, is generally speaking a big excuse to write more programs because programming is fun and sort of share the knowledge of programming. And that's kind of the ulterior motive of the videos that we presented on the channel this month, because they were all sort of designed to show that with very small, minimal plugin code, plugins that fit all on one screen in your editor, you can affect potentially large changes to how you work in Sublime and really make it your own, because that is one of the great powers of Sublime Text, how you can customize it and plug in exactly the functionality that you need. So the idea is hopefully you will have started thinking in looking at these plugins and the things that we've been discussing in these videos, that there's functionality in Sublime that you wish it had, or features that you think would be nicer, or even just small tweaks to existing functionality that would really help you out. And these things are within your grasp to be able to create. Now, there's a few reasons why you might want to work on plugin and package development. You may have an idea for a great new package functionality that you think will help a lot of people, and you'd like to create that package. This is the reason, for example, why I created the override audit package. When I started learning more about Sublime Text and how it worked, I noticed there was some weird missing sort of black holes in its functionality related to overrides in packages and how they were working, and how you didn't really get much information from Sublime that they existed. And I looked around, I didn't see anybody else creating anything like that. So I decided that Override Audit would be the package that I created to give back to the community and fill that hole. And perhaps that's something that you would like to do as well. Or perhaps you just have plugin ideas for yourself, something along the ideas of the plugins that we have been working on and showcasing this past month. Just small features or tweaks or additions that you would like to add to Sublime that would uniquely benefit you and the way that you work in Sublime Text. Because the more smart you can make Sublime, the smarter you can work, the more efficient that you will be. You may also just be using standard plugins available from Package Control written by others, and you run into the occasional thing where you just say, oh, if this package command just did this one thing just slightly different, if it worked this way instead of this way, this package would be phenomenal. This one thing I don't like about. Well, if you knew all about plugins and package development, you could go in and make those small tweaks. And I would venture to say that for any Sublime Text user, if you want to really, harness the full power of Sublime and the packages that it's providing, then a little bit of knowledge of how it works behind the scenes can only help to heighten your understanding of how packages work and why, which makes them easier to use as well. Now, in order to create plugins in Sublime Text and packages, you need to know, roughly speaking, two things. The first thing you need to know is Python, the programming language, which is used by Sublime Text for its plugins, as we've seen throughout the videos this month. And you also need to be familiar with the Python API that, or application programming interface, that Sublime Text provides to the plugins that it creates. That's the interface that allows you to talk to Sublime, to ask it information about the files that are being edited, or to ask it to take actions, or that Sublime uses to tell you when the user takes actions. Say, for example, when as a new file has been loaded or a file is about to be saved, so you can inject your own handling in there. Now, when it comes to Python, you may be saying, Python, I'm not a programmer. I don't understand any of that stuff. If you looked at the videos this month, and you probably really got a pretty good understanding of what those things were doing just from looking at the code on the screen, even if you're not a Python developer, because Python was designed to be highly readable and easy to learn using English-like language and constructs. So if you're not a programmer, rest assured learning Python is not going to be nearly as hard as you think it's going to be. And if you're already a developer and you don't know Python, you're probably not going to have a hard time either, because all else being equal, and this is a little bit of an oversimplification, but most differences between different programming languages has to do with the syntax that you use, how you define a function in JavaScript or in TypeScript looks different than how you would define one in Python, but it's still a function. It's still something that takes parameters. It's still something that you can call. The logic and the semantics of the code remain the same. It's just the syntax that's different. In fact, it might surprise you to learn that I had very little exposure to Python before I started using Sublime Text. In fact, using Sublime and writing plugins was the thing that made me start becoming more interested in learning this particular language. Now, there are a ton of resources out there on the web for learning how to use Python. Now, on the other hand, there's not a lot of resources out there that cover the Sublime API, how it works, what it can do, and what the terminology is. And if you're unfamiliar with this, you could go to sublimetext.com and go up to the top right corner of the page. There's a support link. Clicking on that takes you to the support page, where you could, of course, click the link if you wanted to go to the forum and ask questions about plugin development. Or you could also click on the Sublime Text documentation to open the official documentation for Sublime Text. And down near the bottom of that page, there's a section on package development, and one of the links in there is the API documentation. And you could look at this, and it's going to tell you all of the classes that are possible in a Sublime Text plugin and what all of the methods on those classes do. And it is a particularly voluminous resource. Now, if you're looking at this, you might be saying, this is way too much information. I'm never going to be able to remember all of this. And perhaps not. I personally don't remember all of it. All plugin developers in Sublime at one time or another have to go to that document in order to look something up that they might have forgotten. And you'll find as you proceed along your plugin development journey, should you decide to go on one, that every time you go to that documentation page, you know a little bit more than you knew the last time you were there. And some of the things that didn't make any sense before now suddenly are clear. And as you go forward and learn how these things work, you gain more understanding. But there's not really any resource that teaches you how all of those parts fit together and what all of that terminology actually means. That is, until now. Starting sometime in early 2020, and I don't have a firm concrete date on this because I'm still waiting for some key details to lock in behind the scenes before I can start production of the videos. We're going to start doing a video series on plugin and package creation in Sublime Text. And unlike the videos that we saw this Devember, where we're just looking at a plugin and describing what it does, in this video series, we're going to be diving into the deep nitty-gritty of the Sublime Text plugin API, learning all of the classes and all of the terms and things that you run into when you're working with plugins. So we'll learn what a view is, what a window is, what the difference is between a text command and a window command, and why we would choose one over the other, what event listeners are, and all of that great stuff. And when we're done, hopefully you will be a plugin and package developer extraordinaire. And if you're interested in that topic and you haven't already done so, then you might want to use that subscribe button down below the video to make sure you don't miss out when those videos do become available next year. Use the share button as well to share share the video around if you know other people that are also interested in that topic. And don't worry, the tutorial videos that I have been doing up to now, those aren't going away. Those videos will still be on the channel as well. We'll still be producing those. There's still a lot to learn about Sublime Text and how to get the most out of it. And if you have any questions or comments on anything Sublime Text plugin related that you have always wanted to have answered, drop those down in the comment section below or hit me on Twitter at ODATNerd and guide this course as it proceeds. That's all we have for this. So thank you so much for watching. As always, I hope you've had a great year. And this is ODATNerd until the next video, asking you to have a sublime year.